So let's bring you the business news now then on the programme. Asian shares, they've retreated, in fact, from their record peaks. Now that after reports that the US is preparing to impose new sanctions on some Chinese officials, therefore highlighting, of course, geopolitical tensions, that despite strong exports data out of China, with exports rising over 21% from a year earlier. Those results are overshadowed, though, by the sanctions worries. You can see drops right across the board, the biggest one there on the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. Just a very slight rise on the Kospi in Seoul. Well, we're going to cross now to Bangkok, speak to head market strategist for Asia Pacific at Axie, Stephen Innes. So, Stephen, those potential sanctions, I mean, they're really worrying investors, aren't they?
They really are. I think this is President Trump trying to get his so-called last licks in here. I think there's a bipartisan feeling in the U.S. It's anti-China. It's going to be hard to roll back any sanctions that he levels. And I think he knows this, and I think the Republican Party know this all. If you poll people in the States, 70% have got some form of anti-China sentiment, and that's a bit of a problem, really, globally. But specifically towards China, it is a concern. I think this will continue to be the modus operandi until he finally leaves the office. Looking at the trade data, that was just a spectacular number. However, again, it fuels these bipartisan consensus in the U.S. that the RMB is going to have to strengthen. There's going to be pressure from the Treasury Department to reduce these trade imbalances. Just glaring, and if we look at the other side of the coin, Stuart, the export data wasn't that great. It always reminds me of Germany here. We've got great exports, but no demand locally. It suggests to me that more stimulus has to happen, not only in China, but around the world to buttress consumers as they come out of their COVID hibernations.
Yeah, what else are people watching, Stephen? I mean, you mentioned COVID there, obviously the latest coronavirus news, also those Brexit negotiations, presumably.
Yeah, the COVID's always a scare, but these are soft rolling lockdowns we're seeing the world impose right now, mostly stay at home. Close the retail. These aren't really huge knockdowns. Sectors are already depressed. It's not going to affect the markets that greatly. However, underpriced Brexit risk is just enormous here. If this deal doesn't go through, I don't want to be on the receiving end of the backlash. Hence, I don't own any pounds right now. I'm still a little bit worried as to how this outcome is going to go, or even if Boris Johnson wants the deal at the end of the day.
Stephen, thanks very much. Get rid of those pounds. The head market strategist for Axie there. Thanks very much for joining us there from Bangkok.